Cool. Okay. Yesterday I felt sick because I ate some crab that went really bad. I'm back on here. I actually think I should have all my crust stuff before I mess with the AI stuff. I should have like all the crust stuff tight. So I'm gonna change my order of importance here. To have all the AI stuff at the bottom. It's just gonna be a billion times easier and better if I have everything that has to do with just the app itself and how it works, updates and everything. Now that I have basic AI integration, how all the crust stuff is going to work is going to be a lot more important. Like loading, error handling. I don't know what I just moved. Okay, I didn't mean to move, but that's okay. Limits. That is CRUD. So if I want to do that, that's external API. That's external API. That's the last thing we do. And then this is all. That's CRUD related to. This is all like the interesting stuff. Although Auth0 is kind of a pain in the ass, but it's just like it's actually better to keep it not dealing with that right now. Because there's just a lot of configurations with testing environments and all that crap. So for now, we'll just keep it after the AI stuff. It'll be easier to develop that, and it won't, doing all that stuff first won't get in the way of the Auth0 stuff. It shouldn't. This is all external API stuff. External API, external API, external API. Okay, so this is the stuff that's kind of like not that much fun to deal with. But once we get this solid and looking really good everywhere, then it's going to be just a lot easier to kind of go with everything else. We'll do everything managed next, and then we'll move on to the dashboard, and then we'll I'm gonna do limits after that, and then we'll do refinements on error handling stuff up front, and then we'll get our Mongo going. So for this one, that should be not that complicated. These should be relatively easy, so if you kind of knock these out. Pretty easily, and then we move on to other stuff. this so that I can kind of have like. Sometimes it is, especially after doing some more complicated stuff. It does kind of help you kind of get in the zone to just knock some easy stuff out. So this is all just gonna be here and manage. And the first thing. See, that's helpful, so I don't have extraneous things here. See, extraneousness helps me remove some problems. And this is actually kind of always use rems because the spacing of rems is dynamic. So it'll adjust the spacing, the actual spacing value based on the size of the screen. So it won't like. So if I say I have 5 pixels here, it's always 5 pixels no matter how big the screen is. So sometimes I want that, but I want this space to be dynamic. See, that's good. I was able to figure out why my hovering wasn't working before. Sort of truncates, but not the way I want it to. Nice. Just not size display flex, which needs to be. this is right here. So here you do grid. And then typography. Probably select a window name. Okay, so we're gonna actually make this component. This won't be as sexy as to things out. Divider here. theme. With here a theme dot breakpoints dot down medium to 100%. Oops. 100%. Here I'll do 50%, and then we want to do this. This way, if it's like crazy long, then I can do a tooltip here where people can see these. Like that. And then let's get orientation. Alright, all bin. Time here. Okay, let me see the state of ID0. So we have like default. That's why. We're querying by the selected bin ID. So what we want to do actually instead is if selected bin dot name, let's try dot ID equals 0, then we want to skip this. Say dot name, that's all. You're still bitching. Either we query all the sparks by the user ID, and we get them all. It's pretty expensive and slow. Or when they're changing the query. Okay, we'll just do them all. Maybe don't skip it. And we can make that refinement later. Okay. just made a mistake. This way, we're just kind of keeping the same pattern that we had previously with the other routes. And I'll do that. So this way, we're just getting the ID from this path, making an object ID. Yeah, we don't need that weight there. And then we find all the sparks that have the same owner ID in the database and send it back. And now we should have, anytime the page is loaded, getting all the user sparks, setting the sparks bin to fall, so it should work. to sort some. Gives us an array. Okay, I think this should work now. priority. So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set this to low. And I'm gonna set by priority. And it works. That's awesome. Alright. Sick. So this all seems to be working. So it looks like we're good. Let's keep that there. Alright. Let's see what complaints Marcel has. gonna cost me here.
What we're gonna do right here is go back, way back into time.
See if these work. Renamed, deleted. Does that look right? Yeah, that's fine. Oh, yeah, sure. This one's my GitHub. Let's see. So now I need to I actually don't want to do that there. When I click on this, the handle rename bit on this on rename, I'm just sending this function to set that bin rename active to true. Right. Oh, oops. Set bin rename active to true. Okay, so I can just call function to set to true. State. some React stuff. You'll learn some React from this. But keep in mind there's some extra stuff because it's Next.js. So you see it that's weird, or you haven't seen before in React, that's probably why. The reason that I was complaining is because every rendering statement requires a parent tag. And so whenever that's happens, and I don't want any actual I don't want anything to affect what I have, I use a fragment. So this is a shorthand for React.fragment. It does the same thing, but it's just a shorthand way to do it. So now I have a text field, and then so we don't have to name the action menu. What we actually want is to on fragment. So we want the text field, and then we want a button group. And also this is all these custom components, all these components that I'm using, they're Material UI. That's a big thing to point out. So there's React, but it has a lot of stuff, like a lot of extra stuff that I'm using, like Material UI and Next.js as the template. Call it framework. Check my console, actually handle rename bin. Actually, I don't need all that, so I can just not need to pass anything through. Do a small here, just do small with all these. so the text field is what I actually need to. Where is that? Where? I kind of look at the documentation real quick. Now what should happen is when I click that rename button, it should show me a text field. Okay, that's that. There we go. Good deal. And then if I do that, exit out, and then instead of actually calling the function, actually. Check that when you click the button. Renamed. Nice. I don't like those icons that much, but I'll fix that. I gotta change the label. Where's the label? Here. Currently learning front-end development. My roadmap is HTML, CSS, Java, Tailwind, React, and then Next.js. It's weird. I'm surprised you can't hear my voice. Turn it down a little more. Currently learning front-end development. My roadmap is HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Tailwind, React, and then Next.js. I'll do some tips or suggestions if possible. I think that's an appropriate roadmap. HTML and CSS just to get some like basics of how things work. It's pretty good. JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript is actually pretty important to start with first. I think doing a Colt Steele course, he's pretty good. That's how I learned. And he does do vanilla JavaScript, but he does a little bit different. Let's see, Colt Steele Web Development Bootcamp. So, let's see. Yeah, this one. This one's good. I have a friend that's going through this right now, but his web developer bootcamp is really good right here. So this is really good because he starts with HTML5, CSS, and JavaScript. He kind of goes through actually creating real stuff with all these things, and he uses Bootstrap, which is sort of like, it's like a precursor to Tailwind, so it's probably good to learn that. I don't like Tailwind at all. I really don't understand why anybody uses it, but people do, so kind of have to learn it. I think it's just completely ridiculous to use, but that's just my opinion. But yeah, he goes through all these things and how to use Postman, which is pretty huge in development. How to make full stack apps, all basic stuff. And it's just really, really effectual. So honestly, if you just kind of like, I think this is pretty, like you can do, it's $150 just to buy it now, but you can do like $16 a month for Udemy and use it, and you're just gonna learn all these basics that you need to learn or trying to learn. You're gonna learn all of them through here in a really interactive way, and it's I'll paste the link here for you. Yeah, he's really good. It's where I started 5-6 years ago, and he'll get you all those basic skills that you need to be successful. And then from there, I think, does he teach React? He uses Node, Express, and Mongo. You have to learn all these things in order to know how to use Next.js and React, so that's really good. He doesn't use React, which is actually really a good thing, because I kind of like mostly did this course and I jumped straight into React and just started trying to learn React to get a job and stuff, and it's just like it became a problem for me. It took me a lot longer just because I was just doing code alongs and stuff, and I didn't really know what anything did. Like, I didn't even know what a use effect was and how it worked. So I think going through this entire thing and completing it first will set you up really nicely to be able to build React applications. And you want to learn how React Redux, vanilla Redux works. That's pretty useful. Building a simple application just to have an idea of how it works. And then moving into, this stuff is like, what I'm doing is very advanced. Very, very advanced. This is what we use in enterprise level apps right now. So it's going to be really tough, like, you know, learning JavaScript, going through that course. If you don't necessarily want to do this entire course, I think you should. But if not, I would go through from top to bottom here and then start back up and go back down here. I think you do all of these things. If you can do all of these things by yourself in succession or figure out how to do them, but this is a good checklist of like what you need to know how to do before you start doing anything else. And then from there you learn React and Redux and TypeScript. TypeScript is a really big deal. It took me forever. I always stayed away from learning TypeScript. I just kind of I wish I would have spent a little bit more time learning it. A really good way to learn TypeScript is execute program. This is how I learned TypeScript. Like $35 a month. You can learn TypeScript in a month, but it's really cool because it's just really useful because these lessons are they're like this, they give you stuff and it's interactive, you answer questions, all that kind of stuff. So learn TypeScript and React with Redux after that, just vanilla Redux, because this one uses regular Redux where it's you have your initial state in your store, have your combined reducers, and then you have really verbose, you have your reducers here that react to state updates and actually tell the storage how to change. And then you have your actions here where it's these are the things that I'm doing. So I want to create a folder. I'm hitting my API endpoint here, and then I got a response, and so I'm sending the new data to the app store, and then that goes through the reducer. The reducer says create folder success. So in this reducer here, it tells the reducer this is how you need to update the store with the data that I'm sending you, and then the store here is updated. One of these fields is updated, and that's accessible for the rest of the application. And so you want to learn how all of that works in a verbose manner, and even why. When I started, I didn't even know why I did this. I didn't even know what the point was of making these consts, and now I do. It's a quality of life thing, because doing that, if I just change that to that, it's the same thing. So it's a quality of life thing, but I didn't know how any of that works. So learning how Redux works with React first is a really good call. And then from there, you get into, this is really super advanced stuff. So this is RTK, where it's I'm doing all that stuff I just described, but just right here. It can, all that stuff that I showed you, I'm able to do all of that right here in just that little thing. But if you take a shortcut and and just ask AI to make that, you're not going to know what any of it is and what any of it does. And that's going to create big problems down the road. So from there, you move into RTK, which is really useful, and Next.js. And then, this gets complicated because these are how you set up your API routes. Here in, I have a entirely separate directory just for my back end. And here I have all of these routes set up for different things. And, ID routes. I have ID routes somewhere here. Yeah, ID routes here, blah, blah. This is all Node.js. But here in this new project in Next.js, instead of doing all that, you just make directories. And you make a route file in each directory. So yeah, do that cold steel stuff. Do basic React Redux applications, learn how all that works. And then from there, move into Next.js and RTK, and why you do server-side rendering. when you're doing React Redux, learn TypeScript at the same time. Because you should know JavaScript after that, and so you need to learn TypeScript after that once you're doing React Redux. And then Next.js, RTK, and then it should be good. When it comes to CSS frameworks, I mean, I've been in I've worked at enterprise level companies where actually the company I work at now, they use on the application that I work on now, I work on a different team now, but they use just CSS, just flat out CSS. I worked at a company recently, I contracted a company, a big company in San Francisco, and they just use CSS, but they have a lot of custom components that they had their designers make and stuff, so you can import a lot of reusable things and then do little minor tweaks with the CSS, which is mostly what we ended up doing. I think that Tailwind is very stupid, and the reason I think that is because there's all of these, you have to learn what all of these different class names mean and what they all do, and like you end up having to, it just ends up, the JSX ends up being in a huge mess every time, and you have to like, it's just like, this would have just like long lines of strings, all of these would have tons of strings and stuff, long lines of strings with class names and everything to make it do what you want, and you have to memorize all these things, you always have to go into back and forth to documentation until I guess you learn it, but it's just such a pain in the ass. Not only is it a pain in the ass, but it's super ugly. In a code base. I've seen it in a code base. It's awful. It's just so tough to tell what anything's even doing. And so that's why I really think that if you're going to use a CSS framework, you need to go with React. It needs to be either Material UI, or you just need to skip CSS frameworks altogether and just go with CSS. Because if you just go with CSS, then you can define, solid classes for certain things. It's just a little bit easier to tell like what's going on, because like Tailwind stuff, it's all these like custom name classes, and it's like it's really tough to see what the heck's going on. I love Material UI specifically for the reason, not only do they have all these really great custom components that I can use for visuals, but they have a ton of custom components that I can use for functionality, like really good functionality. Like a really good example is autocomplete. This is a Google search component. So like it's fantastic. And I've actually created a component that was able to query a database based on this input and give you asynchronous results. And that's just, you can just plug that right in. But further than that, the biggest thing that I really like about Material UI, and this is why I stick with it, is the custom component naming. So like I have bin button select here. I know exactly, just looking at the code, I know what this is for. Now if I had all these divs, that's another thing with Tailwind, you basically have, it's just a div nightmare. So instead of having a bunch of divs with all these custom classes, I can name it something specific, bins button select, and then I can go in here and see bin button select and see the basics, and then it just comes down to basic CSS, so it's really easy to read and understand. So that is like number one for me, just the cleanliness of it and the readability of it and the customization of naming so that I can know what everything is. That's like killer for me. So that's why I use MUI. People use Tailwind because it's a little bit faster, it's ugly in a code base, and it's a pain in the butt to work with, but I think it does end up being a little bit faster compilation wise. Bootstrap's like, that's old school, but it's still really good. Bootstrap's pretty similar. That's why I kind of went away from it, but yeah, Bootstrap's pretty damn decent. So I mean, look at Bootstrap. Let's see. Oh, okay. It's kind of cool. Breakpoints and stuff. That's cool. See what their grid looks like. Yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It really isn't bad. But it's just a bunch of it's divs and stuff. And you want to use this for compilation speed. That has to really matter in the application experience for what you're building. And that has to be the #1 priority because, like, see, look at the difference here. Just even with this little bit, like, look at, it's all, I'm just reading all divs, and I have to, like, really dig into what everything is, whereas my code base here, like, it's not divs, everything, like, typography, user bin skeleton, popover, add copy popover, what I named it, bidbus, I can tell, like, just by reading the first thing, I can tell what everything is. So, and, like, you know, and I can, like, I have, these grids end up kind of functioning like divs, so it kind of end up having the same issue. This is kind of ugly. I'll fix that actually. I don't know, we'll tap a root here. But I can rename these. If I feel like I'm just using grid a lot, I can do a custom override component. And, like, for instance here, I can do export const dope grid styled grid. And then here, oops, I can just change this to, or I can do this, like display flex direction, column, and then I just have those basic things in there. But I can do this and then change this to dope grid. Boom. Where's the closing tag? Oops. There. So, and now it has, like, I can get rid of these things here, and now it has all the things I can even get rid of the size thing here and do pass in the theme and do theme dot breakpoints dot down medium, and then I can do size 11, and then I can do theme dot breakpoints dot down, and then extra small and size 12. So I can do a lot of different custom things when I want to. Custom things have kind of like an intrinsic issue where it's like you kind of have to know what you're doing. That's why React is a little bit more difficult to use effectively than Angular. But it is it's better, yeah. So it's better for me because I know what I'm doing. But yeah, so in any case, do the cold steel, React, Redux, TypeScript, and then if you still want to do front-end web development, then do Next.js, RTK, Redux Toolkit. And start with Bootstrap, learn Tailwind if you want, but MUI, it's the best React framework, CSS framework available. The nice thing about Tailwind is that I think you can use it with, I think a big reason people do actually use it is because it's very easy to go native, I think. Like, let's see. How easy is it to migrate MUI components to a native code base? Okay, so in comparison, how easy is it to do this with Tailwind? Yeah, so I think that's the primary reason people are using Tailwind, is because it is significantly easier. I mean, look at this, all that stuff, all those custom classes, but it is very significantly easier to migrate to making mobile apps. So that is the reason, that's the case for Tailwind. Let me use the restroom. So hopefully that answers your question. No, that's not being used. Yeah. So that's good. I don't really want to play some get these moving on. I should do that. Yeah, sure thing. Make sure you subscribe, because I'm starting to do these pretty regularly, pretty much anytime I'm coding. That's nice. I like that. Is this complaining? Oh. Okay. And then
Yeah, I think for me it was this moment we posted it a few months ago. I started crying on Bert Kreischer's podcast.
Crowd is done. Alright, guys. State updates. I'm gonna take a break.